Hey, this is a short training on how to create high impact content strategies that will help build your authority and get you paid more consistently. So, the goal of the training, I want you guys to be able to create content that gets you showing up as the authority and experts that you are. But I also want your content to actually activate your audience to move, to take action, to reach out and DM you consistently, not get paid once every, 3 months. So let's talk about these strategies that I use myself, that my clients use, that helps take our content from just educational content that, clogs the feed to content that actually grows our businesses, grows our visibility, and gets us clients and consistent people DMing us. So, how do we do that? All right. So, number one is I want you to speak to the buyers in your audience. Stop convincing people. A lot of people you're speaking to the broke people in your audience. You're speaking to the people who need the most convincing, the people who aren't ready for you. They're usually the people, and this happens because it's easy to talk about problems that they're having, but a lot of times these people are stuck being the victim. They're not making moves. So I want you to think about the people who are already taking action, the people who already know it's important, the people who are already trying to solve their problem. Think about where they're at. They don't need you to convince them why it's important, why this service, why you need a website, why you need copywriting, why you need to work with a copywriter. Those people who need that content, they are way further down the line. I want you to start speaking more to the people who are already halfway there. Like, they know it's important, but they just don't know who to go with, or they don't know what they don't know, right? So think about those people. They're already taking action. So I want you to focus on why you. Why should they choose you? Why are you the one to help them? So for people to buy, they need to believe in you, your methodology, and your way of doing things. If there's any confusion, any muddiness around that, they're not going to want to buy. So I want you to really think about, why is it that when they are trying X, Y, and Z, things are not moving the way they want, but when they work with you, they are. There's something and this is for your ideal client. Those things that they're doing might work for other people, but your ideal client, they're trying these things and they're not working. So what is it that they're missing? That's the bridge. That's the gap that you are filling with your offer. And so that's what you need to be talking about. This is what they're not going to find on Google. I talk a lot about going deeper, finding that nuance, talk about the things that aren't on Google. That's what's not on Google. Like, they are doing things that work for other people. It's not working for them. So you're the expert. You've worked with clients just like them. So why you? Why does your methodology actually work? What are they missing? When you start bridging those gaps, that will start shifting beliefs, which leads into number two. Shift beliefs, don't teach. A lot of you are getting stuck in over educating. Your ideal client doesn't want to do your job. Like, if you're a copywriter, your ideal client doesn't want to be a copywriter, like, unless you work with other copywriters, like, sure. But most of you, like, if you're a CFO working for advertising agencies, or you work with service providers, whatever, like, a lot of your clients don't want your job. They just want to know how to reach their goals. And so I want you to not educate them on, this is why you need a spreadsheet, or this is how you use a semicolon, or they don't care. They don't care. What they do care about is how to get to their goal. And likely they have beliefs, they have thoughts, misconceptions, they have biases. And so think about maybe objections you've had, or just, maybe they think that the only way to reach their goal is to do this one thing, but that actually this other thing works. And that's how you help your clients and they actually get better results. So shift the beliefs they have, because most of the battle is changing people's, like, if you can get people to change their mind or reframe something or think about something in a different way, that is like 90% of the work. So just stop teaching people. Focus more on shifting their beliefs, connect the dots, bridge gaps that they have. And so something else that isn't really talked about a whole lot, that needs to be sprinkled in throughout all of your content, is brand embodiment and then brand behavior content for your clients. So brand embodiment, we'll just focus on that one real quick. That's more about how do you embody the principles, values, and practices that you're preaching? How are you showing up in a way that reinforces these things, like the things that you're saying? Like I talk a lot about being bold and like saying things that other people aren't saying, or, so I try to embody that. Like I'm not going to be hiding behind, um, not saying things, not being bold about things, not sharing insights. Like if I'm telling people they need to share insights, if I'm telling people they need to do X, Y, and Z, you bet I'm going to be doing those same things. I don't ask anything. Did my clients really do anything that I haven't done? Unless of course, they're in a completely different type of business and just doesn't make sense to do it. But for the most part, everything I've ever recommended are things that I've also done or I believe in. So just make sure that you are embodying the principles and the values and the practices that you are preaching. And then brand behavior. So this one is a really interesting one because this goes back to number one of really speaking to the buyers in your audience, speaking to that next level client, your ideal client, really calling them out sometimes and reminding them of who they are and who they aren't. So, like my clients are action takers. They don't sit on decisions. They don't hem and haw. So a lot of my content speaks to that. It speaks about quick decision making, about just that I take action, even if it's a little bit messy, even if it's not perfect, that's how I function. That's how I run. I attract other people like me. My clients don't make excuses. They make moves. I don't blame the algorithm if my post sucks. I don't, do I get up in my feelings about it sometimes? Sure. But like at the end of the day, like it's data, I work with it and I keep moving forward. And so I talk about these things and I attract people who also think similarly. And so this is a great way to not just attract people who are in a certain demographic or whatever, but it really speaks to the type of person they are, the mindset that they have. And so I want you to consider like what type of mindset does your client have, your ideal client, the best client you can think of, the one that you would take a million of. Um, you know, like who are they as a person? Like how do they function? How do they think about things? And just sprinkle this throughout your content. It doesn't have to be like a whole huge, though that I have done that before. Like these are my types of clients. That's totally okay to do once in a while, just to remind them, to weed out people who just aren't a good fit. Because that's just as important. You want people to just get out of the way if they're not going to buy from you, if they're not a good fit for you, if they're just going to waste your time. Just, make it very clear, like, this is who I work with. This isn't who I work with. We want to make decision-making very easy for your ideal client. So this kind of stuff is really good to infuse and sprinkle in throughout your content. And then something else, I think it's really important that you talk about your results and your offers more. So I've been doing a lot of audits, and man, most of you guys are not talking about your offers. You're not really sharing with me how you actually help people. What you're doing is you're doing this education piece, but then you're not connecting the dots at all between these experiences, thoughts that your ideal client might be having, or whatever it is that your content's about. You're not connecting the dot between how your offer really solves the problem or is related to that at all. So a lot of the time, what's happening is that you're not giving the reader any real direction. And so like if I'm reading it and it's like really good information, cool, but then it just ends, like, okay, like that's great, but like what am I supposed to do with this? What's the point? So the point is that like I'm supposed to identify whether or not, oh, I have this problem, or this is exactly what I want to do. I want to reach out. I want to go further with this and you learn more, or like whatever it is, but a lot of you are missing that piece. There's no bridge. There's just no connection between that and your offer or your service. And so it's not like you have to do a hard sell of like, this is my offer. This is feature 1, 2, and 3. Like, no, that doesn't work. But what you say is like, hey, I know like you're experiencing X, Y, and Z. This is your goal. This is what you're trying to do. You have tried method 1, method 2, method 3, and maybe things aren't working the way you want. Things are taking slower, whatever problems your ideal client is experiencing. And you break down what's going on. And then you say, when I work with clients, this is how we overcome that, or these are the shifts that we make. We do shift 1, shift 2, shift 3. And, in my program, this is, something that we do along with, other things. This is something that you are have top of mind for 2025, reach out or whatever. I mean, it naturally flows much more easily when you do it that way. It's natural because you're saying, hey, I know you have this problem and here's what's going on. And I actually have a solution. This is how I've helped my clients do it. Here's how we do it. You can take it and go. Or if you want more help, more support around this, like, I'm here for you. It's a very natural thing. What's not natural is to be like, hey, this is a problem you're having, and then like just leave them. Like, leave them high and dry. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Or to just be like, this is how a spreadsheet works. Like, cool, but that doesn't help my problem. So I want you to think about how you can connect the dots for them, because they're not going to do it on their own. You have to clearly convey you have to tie in, like, this is what's going on and this is how I help solve that, or how I help you reach that goal. So do that more, because at the end of the day, with all these audits, it's like, I see that you're a copywriter, or I see that you work with your PR person, or whatever, I read that, but I don't know who you actually help, or how you actually help people, or if I would even be a good fit for you, or, it's very vague. So the more specific, and this gets into something else about your offer outcomes and being very clear about it, but the more you can do that, and the more. Okay, so your homework, because I like to give homework. There's two things. I want you to write down one bold take or insight that you have, and tie it into how you work with clients. Why does it work when your clients come to you? And then the second one is share one client success story that demonstrates the value or transformation of your service. Don't just give us the play-by-play, like, this happened and this happened or this happened. I really want you to dive into what is it they were trying to do? What roadblocks were they coming up against? What was happening? What was the situation? And how did you help them make the necessary shifts? Like, what shifts were they? Like, were there? How did you do that? And really showcase the value and that, the journey from point A to point B. I really want you to expand on it and really showcase that value and transformation. If you want more support around getting your content to do more heavy lifting for you, so that you are consistently attracting ideal clients instead of making sales like every one or two every couple months, I have a program called the Content Accelerator. And so it's really designed to help you attract higher quality leads more consistently from your content. So we identify your content strategy, like what you're already doing, what strengths you have, and we just fill the gaps to make things more consistent for you, do more heavy lifting for you, make sure you're hitting the right beats in order to attract, activate, and convert your ideal clients. It's 6 months as a private engagement. Most of it is through Slack, and we have unlimited content review, but there is a kickoff meeting to establish that initial strategy, look through things. And then there are 2 other meetings that you can use as you need, if you feel like you just need that more back and forth, that live, feedback. So you'll have a system that works for you, and it allows you to get more out of your current marketing efforts. So DM me, email me, let me know if this is something that you want to chat more about.